So for me, this is my first time attending BCF, but this would be maybe the 10th time I've attended a gathering of Black professionals. The one in the United States is called Chart Your Own Course. There's a lot of overlap between the leaders of BCF and CYOC, and they all, I think, have had the same experience, which is one that we're trying to replicate, and that is one of lifting each other up. It is entering and maintaining authentic relationships, and it is with being unapologetically supportive of one another.
Yes.
And I think two things really stand out to me about these environments. The first is just the collection of Black excellence. I think especially in the United States, where historically there could be only one, and you've heard me talk about that, us talk about that before, where there was a bit of a divide and conquer, there was setting one person against the other. That environment ultimately is not a supportive one. And I think it creates more mental stress and anxiety for lawyers than it does support. And I think what's wonderful about CYOC, what's wonderful about BCF, what's wonderful even about the breakfast that we host is that it is one of support. And it doesn't have to be about, becoming more expert in your craft. It doesn't have to be about becoming or getting a promotion or making more money in your job. It's just about being a happy person. And that's relevant and that's material. So having that support network is really one of the more important things about these events. And then the other is just sort of growing and giving back and receiving. It's really important to have opportunities to do that. It's important to think I'm not done. There is something else. But equally important to say I have something to offer. And I think for me, it is fulfilling to have something to offer other people. I'm one of these people. I love being mentored. I love receiving and then running the routes that I'm asked to run. But there's also something really special about being able to empower others. And, we hope that we'll stay connected to some of the people that we're speaking with now, especially the early career lawyers that we're speaking with now, and hearing their success stories, because that's just it's really fulfilling.
Wow. Yeah, I don't have as much. It's selfishly, it's fulfilling, it's like energizing. And yeah, like if over, almost 30 years, like there's things that I've picked up that I can share. I just want to give it away. That's it.
Fantastic. And I guess, what does it mean that both of your firms were willing to support you in doing the work that you do?
Yeah, this was actually one of the more exciting things for me with respect to my firm, because the ask to do BCF came really right on the heels of President Trump in the United States, attacking diversity, equity, and inclusion, literally attacking law firms that were supporting DEI efforts. My firm, we were in the midst of trying to decide how are we going to respond to the administration and this new attitude about inclusivity. We've navigated that reasonably well, but I knew that there was going to be a tough ask to say, hey, let's do this for the first time. What was really surprising to me was how supportive all of the people who sort of were part of that discussion or part of making that decision were of the idea of doing this. There were some practical questions that had to be asked because it was this was not something we had planned for. And so there had to be some sacrifices made by people in order to make space for this. And I was very thankful that folks were willing to make those sacrifices, because we truly believe at my firm that diversity wins, the diverse teams win. And, the studies show it. Most businesses have embraced that. The law firms tend to be, I think, a little slower to recognize that we are humans too, and that we don't know everything instantly. But my firm recognizes that multiple perspectives lead to better results. And so we have remained very, very happy to reach out to diverse audiences and diverse lawyers, and hopefully we'll bring some of those people into us. We absolutely intend to have more events for diverse lawyers here in the UK. I hope to be able to come back for those, but Pillsbury is very committed to the idea of diversity at our firm, and I'm pretty excited about their willingness to let me do this.
Yeah, I think there's probably a commonality amongst firms. Similarly, Brown Rudnick has a commitment to inclusion because we are dedicated to excellence, and we believe that excellence can be found in many places. So really, it's just about ultimately providing the best service to our clients, and that comes from finding the best talent.
Definitely. And so, just a nice question for each of you: what is the superpower that you lean into for yourself?
Boy, this is an interesting question, and we've sort of been kicking around. I've joked that my superpower is my LinkedIn network because I keep it really tight. But no, I think if I'm being honest, my superpower comes from my training as a scout. I'm a huge scouting dork. I tell people all the time. But scouting really is about values. And there's a number of them, but I try to be a very values-oriented person, right? I try to be trustworthy. I try to be helpful, friendly, cheerful, these things that sound really cheeky. If you live those values, I think it really can help shape you as a person and allow you to meet others where they are. So for me, I think if I have a superpower, I'm not willing to assume it, but if I do, it's just that I try to be a values-driven person.
I learned actually a while back leadership, number one, but then I'm a super connector. That is a superpower for sure.
Sure. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Of course.
Really added value to our conversation.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.